I'm Steve. I am the owner and director of the International Assisted Reproduction Center. That is an agency, which is different than a clinic. An agency is someone who helps you administer and put all the parts of the surrogacy process in place. When you select an agency, you should select an agency that does everything from the beginning to the end of the process. And part of that beginning of the process is to help you select your clinic. You should not pick a clinic and then pick an agency. Hi. You should not pick an agency and then pick a clinic because it works with the agency. The clinic should be selected based on your priorities, success rates, cost, types of program, personality of physician. There are many variables. Geographic location. You might want one in California, Oregon, Toronto, Connecticut. They're all here. And you should be able to rely on your agency to help you select based on your priorities which clinic is best for you. So when you're looking at an agency, the purpose of the agency is to take the entire surrogacy process and condense it into a reliable, settled pattern that cannot go wrong and will end up with a successful birth. That's what they do. And if they don't do everything from A to Z, keep looking for a different agency. Now, I did, as I said, teach high school. I have 20 minutes. I have 20 people in this room. You all have questions. I want to make sure that I'm not talking about me, because I don't need to sell us. Some of you are going to want to work with us because of where our heart and our goals are in trying to make this an affordable process. But I also want you to have information. So the first thing, if I haven't told it to you individually or in a group, is this. We are committed to giving you information to be successful in this process. Our commitment to that means you call us, we will telephone conference with you, Skype with you, email with you. We will answer any question you have about any part of the process at no charge, at your convenience, on your schedule, whether you ever hire us or not, because our commitment to you is that we want you to know all of the information to travel safely and successfully through this journey. And if we can be nothing more than an information resource, I think that's what we have to do to commit to the industry and to you as prospective parents to make sure this process stays available. So please don't take that lightly. That is an offering of our 30 years of experience and my 25 years experience as an attorney to benefit you in your process without regard to whether we ever work together. Now that being said, what's questions biggest on your mind? We have to have some extroverts in the audience somewhere.
Well, you call yourself the National Assisted Reproduction Center, so how many of your surrogacies are actually facilitated within the United States and how many abroad?
So our name infers that we have international parents that come here. So
Okay.
all of our surrogacies are conducted domestically, but 75% of our clients are international and 65% of those are gay men. So we help gay men all over the world have children under 25 different legal systems, which is where my international and national leadership in the legal community benefits everybody, but especially domestic clients as well.
So you have also couples that are mixed nationalities?
Yes, we are. We have clients from Sweden, Italy, Germany, France, Australia, Argentina, Hong Kong, China, everywhere. And the first thing you do if you have dual citizenship issues, the first thing I'm going to tell you is don't pay a penny and don't start the process till you talk to an attorney in the country where you want dual citizenship, as well as the person in the state and country where you're going to have your child born. Mm-hmm. Because if you can't establish both ends of that bridge, it's not worth starting the process in the beginning. Mm-hmm. The doctor's idea of success in a fertility program is the live birth of a healthy child, right? I'm a lawyer. I look at it a little differently. My idea of success is the live birth of a healthy child, of whom all of you or each of you is the legal parent for all purposes in all places with the citizenship you intend. If I can't get you to the end of the process, then I don't want you to start it and get in the middle and say, oh my God, I can't get where I need to go. So my expertise is in making sure you have the team in place on both ends of that international process if you're involved in it. Any other questions? That was a great question. Yeah.
What's the average waiting time for a surrogate, or if there's no average because it would depend on how wide you cast the net, what are the general ranges?
All right. So first of all, explain how that fluctuates, and then I'll tell you what the current waiting time is. Every month we have intended parents that sign up with us. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 5. Every month we're screening surrogates. Our screening process is different than some. There are 2 kinds of ways of matching you with surrogates at agencies. Some of them take 20 women in, all of whom say they want to be surrogates. They put those 20 women up on their profile and they say, you can pick a surrogate tomorrow. And after you pick your surrogate, we'll screen her. We'll do a criminal background check, we'll do a psychological evaluation, we'll review her obstetric records, we'll do an insurance review, and we'll figure out after you've picked her whether she can do the process. If you talk to almost every agency owner, about 1 out of 15 to 20 women that want to be surrogates qualify, which means out of those 20 surrogates, you're going to pick 1 or 2 or 3 and go through the screening process in disappointment and get rematched before you find a surrogate. At other agencies like IARC, we don't want you to go through that additional wait. So we screen the 20, do the criminal background check, the psychological evaluation, the obstetric history, the insurance review, and they don't get put up on our profile list until we know that they can act as a surrogate. So out of 20 women, we get 1 we can put up. So some months we get 3, some months we get 7. How many parents and how many surrogates we sign up makes the waiting process fluctuate. Right now, we're at about an 8-month plus or minus a month waiting period. The bottom line is, what that means is, the time you would have spent matching and unmatching is about equivalent to the time you wait to be matched more certainly. And you don't go through this duplicate economic cost of rescreening, and you don't go through the emotional cost of attaching and disattaching from surrogates. Every quality agency on the list is going to have some sort of waiting period, and it's totally dependent on how popular they are, in other words, how many intended parents are signing up, and how effective they are at marketing and screening and qualifying their surrogates. So ask those questions, and that's a great question to ask. Hopefully most of you are early enough in the process that you can take that into consideration. So if you want to start the active process in a 1.5 years or a year, you can start that process now, get the waiting period running while you're accumulating funds and the ability to go forth both financially and emotionally. Any other questions? This is for you. It's not about me. Yes?
Historically, where have most of your surrogates been located?
About 85% of them are from Minnesota. Good Swedish, Norwegian, stock. You know, blonde hair, blue eyes, strong of frame. We have great surrogates in Minnesota, and some from Wisconsin, some from Iowa. But we also have surrogates in other destinations where I have vetted the law and have associate attorneys in those states to do the legal process, where we know that we can do the parentage and the birth certificates and get both fathers' names on them, and the process is efficient and fairly inexpensive. So primarily in the Midwest, but we have them from other places as well. And the way that that works is, when you sign up, you go on the waiting list. When you get to the top of the waiting list, every surrogate that's screened is first presented to you, and you get first choice. You never have one pass you by unless it's someone that's not compatible with you. Because say you want twins, so you're going to do a 2 embryo transfer. The surrogate that comes up says, I won't do anything but a single embryo transfer. There's no point in showing you that surrogate. So we very carefully match surrogates to appropriate intended parents. I think, having done this for 15 years, that one of the strengths of our agency is that the matches of our surrogates to our intended parents are virtually flawless and perfect, because we say, how much contact do you want during the pregnancy? What kind of contact do you want afterwards? Do you have a problem with selective reduction or termination if there's a problem with the baby? Will you terminate at the parent's request? How many embryos will you allow transferred? There's just a host of things And if you match up on all those things, we have a match made in heaven. And we make sure that when you're matched with your surrogate, that surrogate fits you as customizably as possible. And that makes your journey easy and actually fun. Yes?
You mentioned that the difference between clinic agency. Do you have, in terms of your experience, like a specific set of clinics that you work with primarily, or where are they located?
We have clinics. I think I can honestly say that we have worked with every clinic that is in this building today. I've worked with Dr. Liebrock, Dr. Donishmond, ORM, San Diego. One of the benefits, as I said, of having an agency is they help you select an appropriate clinic. My daughter, please stand up, Keely. This is my show and tell. You guys are all thinking about, I want a little bundle like this. Well, eventually you get a bundle like that. And that's the best part. Eventually your child becomes your best friend. And if you're really, really lucky, thank you. If you're really, really lucky, they go to law school and they join you in your practice. And they do exactly what you do. In spite of the fact that when they were 15, they looked at you like this and said, I am never going to grow up to be like you. Ha! So, she is the consummate clinic analyzer, and she has a weighted chart of various factors to assess a score to various clinics. So, all of the clinics on our chart are assessed based on success rates of fresh embryo transfers, success rates of frozen. You may have a clinic that has a 70% fresh, but if you fall into the 30, there's frozen is 25%. You don't want that clinic unless you want to take a risk. If you have a clinic that has a 70% fresh and a 70% frozen, much better opportunities. Location, personality of the physician. I can name 2 physicians, I'm not going to do it on camera, who I know work 24/7 and text and call and keep their clients and patients in the mix at all times. And then I can tell you 2 doctors you won't hear from for weeks. And if you want to hear from them, it'll take 2 weeks to schedule an appointment. You will also look at what kind of programs, whether they have egg donor programs, shared programs, frozen egg programs, the cost of their programs. All of those things are going to factor into whether you select a particular clinic, and that is going to significantly affect the cost of your program. You may have a clinic in Toronto that charges $20,000 or $25,000 for an egg donor cycle versus a US clinic that charges $35,000, and you'll go, I need to control costs, I'm going to the Canadian clinic. On the other hand, and I'm just not saying that's true of the clinics here, but as a comparison, but if the Canadian clinic has a 65% donor egg program success rate and this one has an 80%, you may save money by paying the extra $10,000 and getting pregnant on the first transfer instead of going through multiple transfers at the Toronto clinic. So all of those things need to be discussed, and we work with clinics all over the country and in Canada.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? You got me here. This is a horse's mouth. All right, I'm going to talk just for the last few minutes about cost control. I am on a panel about budgeting later, but they're going to tell me what to talk about. So, you can control your costs if you work with an agency that educates you and lets you make your own decisions. The biggest factors that are variable are, what is your surrogate going to charge for her fee? Surrogates in California charge $45,000. That's what they're starting to get more women so they don't have a wait period. In the Midwest, they're averaging around 25. That's a $20,000 swing. Your selection of your clinic is going to affect your cost. You may select a single donor cycle that costs $21. You may select a guaranteed birth program that costs $47. That's a $26,000 swing. Every surrogate comes with insurance or not. Some policies exclude maternity expenses. If the maternity expenses are excluded and you don't have that identified, which is why you want an attorney helping you with that, you may end up paying all of the medical expenses out of pocket. Even if the surrogate has insurance, Each policy has different co-pays, deductibles, and out-of-pocket maximums, and you will be responsible for that out-of-pocket maximum. So even a surrogate with insurance costs you money, and that may be $2,000 as an out-of-pocket maximum or $15,000. That's a $13,000 swing. If you want twins, that's terrific. You can try for twins, and we will assist you with that. However, that comes with a higher likelihood of 4 to 6 weeks of bed rest or premature delivery with high NICU costs, and that means that you have child care expenses, lost wage reimbursement, and a lot of other ancillary expenses that increase the cost of having twins, even though you think you're saving money by getting twins, and you have the risk to your children. So we're working with clinics to try to get 2 consecutive single embryo transfer processes in place so you can have 2 children with singleton births and get the doctors and our agency to do concessions on the fees so it doesn't cost the cost of 2 programs. It's maybe 150% of 2 programs. So we're trying to do things as activists in the industry to make it more cost effective, to do it safely and achieve your goal. And that's one of the things that we're the best at. When we talk to you at the beginning, we don't say this is how surrogacy goes. My daughter, who does most of the intended parent intake, will say, what does your family look like when you're done? How many children do you have? Let's plan for that, because that may dictate whether you do a shared or an exclusive egg program, so you have embryos left to do another round, or 2 or 3. How many people plan to have more than 2 kids? All right. You didn't all, now watch this. How many of you plan to have 2 kids? Okay, 2 is apparently the ideal number for this group, but those that want more, I would love to join in that journey. The last thing I'm going to say is, this isn't a business for me, this is a life mission. I want you all to have kids. That's why I'll talk to you at any time, as long as you want, without hiring me, without paying me, to make sure you're on the right path. And if you choose another path that doesn't involve us, I will feel affirmed by the fact that I've helped you toward your goal in a safe and successful way. If you work with us, I will just tell you, it will be my honor and privilege, because I love what I do. So, good luck to all of you.